What's up, everyone? You're listening to Navigating the Ivory Tower, a WPTS radio podcast. This is about what it's like for Black students to attend a predominantly white institution, aka a PWI. I'm Jay Davis, and today we have special guests Leah, Claire, and Devin. So I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves before we get started.
My name is Devin Nugent. I'm a junior here at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm studying psychology, and I run for Pitt's track and field team.
My name is Claire Gordon. I'm a sophomore, and my major is political science and psychology.
I'm Leah. I'm a sophomore too, and my major is political science as well.
Okay, so we're going to get into it. So today we're going to talk about the topic of what it's like to date athletes at a predominantly white institution, as well as getting the perspective from Black women about their experience about dating Black athletes as well. So I just wanted to start off with just a general question. What overall has been, I guess we could start with Leah and Claire, like your overall experience with dating athletes here? I know a lot of people have talked about that and how, it's not the best experience, but I just want to, hear from you guys how you feel about it.
I would say overall, it's been bad. Yeah, not good. I just wouldn't recommend.
Any particular reason why you wouldn't recommend, Leah?
They're liars. Like, Claire can agree with me.
Right.
Yeah. That's just me, though.
What do they lie about?
Yeah, what do they lie?
Other girls, their whereabouts.
Like you're the only one. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. Yeah. What about you, Claire? What has been your experience?
Yeah, no, I second that. They're all liars. Yeah.
Okay. So have you guys been in any committed relationships with athletes or anything like that, or has it just been more of just casual dating?
Yeah. I had a boyfriend last year on the basketball team.
Okay.
My ex-boyfriend used to play football here, but he's gone now.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay, so let's get your perspective. So obviously as a Black athlete here at Pitt on the track team, and even just I want to hear your perspective, because I think a lot of times we hear stories about the football players and the basketball players, causing some problems within, just the dating community in general at college. But I just want to hear, your perspective about what your dating experience has been like, what you've noticed even from your own peers and stuff, so.
I feel like the dating experience isn't it's not too bad. I obviously I hear the horror stories of football, basketball, all that. But I feel like there's some good people on those teams. I feel like, and I just feel like they sometimes place a stigma and it just kind of goes to all of us. But
Mm-hmm. Do you think that any of the stigma does hold true, or do you think it really just depends on person to person, or how much have you seen of that personally?
See, it's hard to say it's true, because I feel like that's everywhere. I feel like
yeah,
not just athletes are all cheaters, but I feel like everyone has their days, I guess. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it's just an athlete thing. Mm-hmm. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
I think it is an athlete thing sometimes, because it's I feel like they have a God complex about them sometimes, and it makes them think they're better than everybody else.
That's true. I feel like I've seen that before. Mm-hmm. Sometimes their ego is just
mm-hmm.
kind of pretty inflated.
But I think there's some good ones.
Yeah. There's some good
ones.
Mm-hmm. Some
heavy on that.
Yeah, I think for me, I honestly really haven't dated, any athletes. I feel like any athletes that have, whatever, slid into the DMs, try to talk to me and stuff, I've just kind of been yeah, I'm not trying to get played today. I'm not trying to play the game. And it's I don't want to stereotype or be it's not that I'll give someone a chance, but it's especially I was telling you guys before we started recording that one day whenever a bunch of guys from the Pitt football team were DMing me at the same time, I was yeah, this doesn't feel right. So I was just yeah, let me block immediately. This just seems really sketchy to me, because it was a lot of the transfers and stuff coming in, so they're kind of just, I'm sure, fishing, looking for anything they can get. So, and I think a lot of times some of the games that people do, I'm just it's so played out. I feel we see this all the time. They do the same thing as some of their friends and stuff. So it's they act we haven't seen this all before and everything. Right. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but so I'll move on to the next question. So, have you guys noticed any like specific differences in how Black athletes date versus non-Black athletes at PWIs?
Well, I don't know. I've noticed like a lot of the white athletes, they seem to be in like committed relationships. Like they post their girlfriend, they have a highlight for her. But I look at a Black athlete's profile and I'm like, what is this? But maybe that's just at Pitt, but that's what I've seen.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to white people. No shade. But I mean, I could probably see that, like what Leia said, like about how like, but you never know, they could be cheating too. So
Right. They could be liars too.
Right. You never know.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to them, like Claire said. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I feel like what I've seen is like the white athletes here, they do seem to be more in like committed relationships. Or like even if like I feel like if they're like cheating on like their girlfriend or something, I feel like it's not like, you know, super obvious and everything. Like I feel like some of like the Black athletes here, they make it very obvious. I think one of the biggest things I talked about it in a previous episode just about dating at a PWI is that there's only 8% of like Black students at Pitt. So it's like, you know, most of us know each other and stuff. Especially I feel like the Black women here and stuff, like if somebody knows you're talking to somebody and they see you at a party and you're talking to the wrong person, like they're gonna call you out, like they're gonna like text the girl and be like, oh my god, like I saw your man, like, you know, doing this, that, and the third with this girl and stuff. Crazy. And I've seen that happen a lot and everything, which is interesting to me because I would think that, you know, some of the guys would be a little bit smarter, would be like, you know, maybe let me talk to someone from, I don't know, CMU, Duquesne, even if I'm trying to do something like on the side, but it's like, you know, they'll do it in your face at a party, like a Black party at that. So it's like, you know, at least like try to like, you know,
try to hide it a little bit.
Exactly right, if you're gonna try to be sneaky and everything. But yeah, I feel like it's an epidemic. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I've definitely noticed that a lot. And so since you're a track athlete in general, do you think that like there is a little bit of a difference of like just like how some of the Black athletes that are football players or basketball players act, especially just at like, you know, a D1 school and everything?
Yeah, I'd say there's like a really big difference in how like the track team acts compared to like the football team. Like there was a person that played football that was on the track team for a year. I think it was my freshman year, and he was cool. Don't get me wrong, he was cool, but like he just didn't act like all of us. But there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, I think there's a big difference in how we act, how we like talk to people, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like I hear a lot of people say like different athletes here that like are besides basketball and football, like they've had like not like bad experiences with and everything. I think it's just like those like big ones, because especially a lot of them, I feel like, you know, they have like these big like NIL deals, or they think they're all that and everything, and it's just kind of like I feel like they look at women as like kind of like a dime a dozen. Like if you're not going for it or whatever, then like someone else will.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a lot of that and everything. At least that's what I've seen. But what do you guys think?
Oh, we've definitely seen that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Like some of the things that I've like heard football and basketball players say, like some girls would be like, they would be like weirded out, but others would like definitely like go for that like pretty easily. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, it's sad what like a label and a title will do for a lot of people, because even I've noticed that, because my one friend, I remember someone on the basketball team was texting her and stuff, and out of nowhere, I think they were like texting maybe for like 2 hours or something, and he was like, oh, are you like trying to do something, like, you know, and then she was just like, you don't even know like my last name, you don't know anything about me, like why are you already asking me that? And then he was like, oh, well, do you want me to take you to dinner first? Like, all this stuff. It was just like, how, like, bring back shame. Like, I'm sorry, but that is so embarrassing, especially on, like, iMessage, when someone could screenshot that and be like, you know, post it or whatever, which, like, you know, I feel like she should have, but, you know, she's better than me. So, yeah, I feel like that's something where, like, they don't realize that, like, I feel like in the sense, like, women are like in more control, where they could be like, you know, at any moment just like screenshot, like do all this stuff. But then I don't know, I feel like also it wouldn't change a lot of people's like perceptions, which is really sad, or even people's like outlooks of like, you know, maybe not dating an athlete and stuff. Because I feel like, I don't know if you guys see these TikToks, but I see TikToks come up with like, you know, advice for freshmen coming in. They're like, do not like, you know, date an athlete, do not date someone that's a part of like a D9 organization, like any of these other things and stuff. But I feel like, you know, a lot of people don't listen, they kind of like fall into the trap and everything.
Right. Yeah.
I did.
Damn, why I gotta
Yeah.
be a trap? Why I
Not-
gotta be, why I gotta be a trap?
Okay, not all the time. Like, I think it definitely varies per person. I just think, in general, it's like sometimes if you're starting to notice some of the stereotypical signs, like, you're the only one, that type of beat, I think it starts like time to wrap it up and be like, it's time to go.
Because every
Like-
hoe is going.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, no, I agree. Do you guys have any like specific like stories or anything that you want to share of like experiences you guys had? Like, whatever you guys feel comfortable sharing, but whatever you guys.
Well, this year actually, I was talking to this boy. Mind you, this was going on for 6 months. He made a rule. He's the one that made the rule, talking about, we're not gonna see other people.
Oh my God.
2 weeks after I meet him, tell me why. Tell me why he brings this girl to visit him. Oh, that's his friend.
They always pull. That's
his-
my friend. That's my friend. No.
And so she spent the night for a few nights.
What?
But they
The
didn't do
night?
anything. They didn't do anything.
It was
'cause that's
his
friend.
birthday weekend.
And he
Oh.
didn't invite you? Okay, all right.
No, and I find out a few months later they did indeed do what I thought they did. So I was right the whole time. But I got my get back, so it's okay.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
But he was just lying the whole time. He was going.
Oh my gosh. What about you, Claire? Any stories?
Oh yeah. This year, I don't know. Like, it wasn't as bad as that. But it was just like he was just lying and whatever. Like, the usual. Like, just lying about everything.
Oh, okay. For a long period of time?
Yeah. Yeah, like he was trying to date me when he first met me, but I said no, so then he wanted to be a hoe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think rejection, I notice, is really hard for a lot of athletes here. Like, if you're just like, I'm not, or at least if you want like a little bit more effort, like, I'm not gonna like maybe do anything with you like for a certain period of time. Like, a lot of times, like, I sometimes like feel like that's a good way to kind of see like where they're at. Like, even if they say to your face like, oh hey, I'm looking for a relationship, but if you're kind of like holding off on like some things, I feel like that will kind of show them like, are they like willing to wait, or are they just gonna move on to the next person? So I think it's something just to like think about sometimes. And I feel like people, at least for me, I feel like it's always a 2-week rule. Like, people show their true colors, like, and who they really are and their intentions after 2 weeks. And you start to see some signs. Like, I don't know if you guys in your situations felt like you maybe saw some signs. Did you feel like you saw anything where you were kind of like, I don't know about that?
Yeah, I should have ran.
When I saw that phone,
Right.
It's always
That
the
iPad.
phone.
No,
That
the iPad.
That iPad. They always have a different password on it, too.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
the notifications on the iPad, you can
Oh
see
my
them
God.
like without unlocking it though.
Oh.
So it's like better than the phone. Just
Oh
saying.
my gosh. Leah
Just a
giving us
little
some
tip.
skills. Oh my gosh. Anything
Yeah.
you want to add?
Nah, I've never really had to go through that situation. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
thankfully, knock on wood.
I got a
don't
question
really
for you.
understand
Have you ever put anyone through that?
No, I don't cheat.
Okay.
Black men do not cheat.
All right. Wrap it up.
Not-
Yeah. Let me get some statistics up.
But no,
Oh my gosh.
I never put anyone through that. I feel
That's
like
good.
I feel like in high school, I feel like I got that out. So like coming to college, it was kind of just like I'm not really in the mood to have like a whole roster. They're a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like also another thing I noticed is like athletes are so like busy like with their schedules. Like, I don't even know like how they would have time in general to be in a relationship and stuff, because I know for me in a relationship, like, quality time is like really important, and I feel like the only time they're like available, not to be like stereotypical, but it's like at night. Like, I
But
swear
that's
and
true,
I'm not
though.
saying it's their fault or anything like that, but it's like it's a reality. Like,
Yeah.
y'all are always like, practice, like any of that type of stuff, classes, just anything that they have to really prepare for, traveling. So I think it'd be a lot. Like, I don't know, like, if you guys have experienced, like, either being in relationships or you being in a relationship with someone that wasn't an athlete or anything like that, but I'm sure like it's really difficult.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was difficult Actually, no, it wasn't that bad. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, maybe it's just because we were always around each other, but I felt like I saw him a lot. I feel like the football players might be more busy.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because I
Really?
feel like certain sports are like different
Yeah.
seasons.
Well, if they're
or their
not
seasons are
traveling.
longer. I feel like it depends. Is your
Bro.
season long?
You're done.
Yeah, it's pretty long. Like the season starts right at what is it, winter break, and then it doesn't end until like June.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
So
that's
pretty
long.
long. Yeah.
Mhm. Is it hard, like, for you, like, I don't know, like, what your dating experience has been, like, here and everything, but, like, I don't know if you've been in a committed relationship since you've been in college, but, like, has it been difficult for you at all?
I wouldn't say it was difficult because like we just gave like you have to find like a real like median as to where you guys like spend your quality time because you know they also had something going on, they had classes, stuff like that. I had practice, and like you said, it was during the night, but like on the weekends, like that's where you could really like like do like things during the day, like go to museum, go to park, stuff like that. So you just have to really find like find a schedule that works for y'all.
I agree. I think it's also just like the willingness, like if you're willing to do that and like put in that effort for someone, like it can work. But I think a lot of people,
100%.
they just kind of like look at their schedule or look at their life and they're like, I don't need to do that, or let me take the easy route of just like hooking up with a bunch of people or like whatever and stuff. Which to me, I'm just like, do you want to walk around itching and burning? Like I don't like, not safe.
No.
Like yeah, because we talked about that a little bit on my last podcast. Just like some of like the issues, even like within our own like community of like Black men like refusing to use like protection and stuff like that. So, and I feel like it's also really common with like athletes, unfortunately. I feel like
Not the track team. Don't
yeah.
put that on us. Don't put that
yeah,
on us.
just like in general, I feel like it's a thing that just like people need to be more conscious about and aware, especially at college, like if you're gonna like have multiple partners and stuff, because it's like that's not safe for anybody.
And like, why are people so willing to do it raw? Like,
Right.
Are you not scared?
Are
Like-
you not scared? You know, especially, I'm sorry, no offense, but like with an athlete, I don't know where you've been. I don't know where you've been. I don't know who you've been with. I just like let me get
practice and live. That's what we've been.
Yeah, all day,
Practice and
24/7. Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely agree. So switching to another topic, would you guys say like that with a lot of Black athletes, either here or in general, at PWIs, do you think that it's like more normalized to see like interracial dating than it is like at other schools, or do you think that it's kind of like a little bit of a mix of both?
I feel like, well, in my experience, I never seen like a Black athlete openly date a white girl. Like they'll like be like, oh, I'll hook up with her, but like I would never date her. Like that's what they
Yeah,
always
I've heard
say.
them say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've seen like any like open white and Black relationships. Like, yeah, I haven't seen that either, really.
Yeah, I haven't really noticed that. I feel like I've seen maybe like 2 athletes and stuff, but I feel like it wasn't really like a long-term like relationship and stuff. But yeah, I feel like the only time I really see them, like if it's like a white girl or something, it's like, when I'm like down at like East Carson Street or something, like when everyone's like outside and everything and like, after hours type vibes. So I feel like it's not really like you would think, in 2025, like, you would see it more and stuff. Cause I feel like other college campuses, I see it and stuff, but like, I don't know why, like here, I don't really see it and everything. But like on that same note, do you guys think that like the way that like Black women are treated by Black athletes is different than the way that Black athletes treat white women in college, or do you think it's like about the same?
Honestly, I feel like it's the same, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be like controversial or anything, but I feel like you see a lot of the white girls and the Black guys last, because I feel like they have to be putting up with stuff that like cheating and stuff, because I feel like a lot of the times Black girls won't put up with
I agree.
what they put them through.
Yes.
And that's why the white girls be lasting longer. Like, I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. I think that some of them may not know some of these like cultural issues, I think, within our community and stuff. Like even whenever I talk to like white friends that I am like close with and stuff, and I'll tell them like things that like happen within just like dating and stuff, and they're like always just like mouth on the floor, like confused, like even with stuff like, I feel like this was something I talked about on like a podcast episode previously, is like I feel like within our community, like there's such a big like emphasis on just like sex and like even like rushing that and stuff like very quickly. And I feel like with like white people and stuff, and like white people at college, like not that they're not doing that, but I feel like it's not as like prevalent and stuff. Like there will be like my friends that are like white and stuff, and they'll be in like committed relationships for like months to like a year before they do any of that stuff. And then like my Black friends and I will look at each other and be like, what? Like he was trying to ask to do that like 2 days after I met him and stuff. So it's just, I feel like just a different like divide and stuff. But yeah, that's why I was asking, because I didn't know if it was just like a different perspective thinking about it like with athletes and everything. But yeah. What do you think?
No, not really. I don't really see a difference. I feel like what you said was definitely true. Like some like black women really don't put up with certain things, and sometimes, most of the time, white girls will just like put up with it. But yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think they're just like, even especially, I feel like there's a lot of white people that specifically like, come to Pitt and they don't have a lot of experiences with even like just like being around like black people in general. Like they went to like PWIs themselves where there was maybe like 2 black people in their class or something. So I feel like they're not even like socially aware, because I feel like if they like kind of knew some of these issues, like they really, like you were kind of saying, probably wouldn't put up with like what's going on and everything. But I think it's just lack of just like exposure and everything. So for you guys, would you say that like you guys have like specific types when it comes to dating or anything like that? Or do you think like, especially like with you guys, do you think with your like experiences with athletes, do you think that you would ever date an athlete again? Or do you think that like, you would just like steer away from that?
Like my type physically or
whatever. Yeah, you can interpret that in any way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like them black, and big. Would I date one again? Honestly, it would take a lot. But I probably would.
Right.
Okay. Why? Why would you date them again?
Because I feel like there's hope for everyone. Like, maybe I could find one that's good.
Do you think that you like feel, because I hear a lot of girls talk about like they feel a little bit like burned out and stuff, where like especially with like hookup culture and stuff, where they're just like feel like maybe they're being like used for their body, and after a while there might like be like, I need a break from some of the athletes and their mentality, or even just some of the guys and stuff. So like, do you guys like feel that way at all? Just like even just being in college, because I feel like in general college like is a lot of like just normalization of like hookup culture and stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of hookup culture. Like, I'm not partaking anymore. So, moving forward, like if I were to try to get a boyfriend, maybe it would be wise for me not to look in the athlete section.
Right.
Maybe
a different department.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice engineer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my type, I like them tall and skinny, but so, I don't know. Like I would date one again, cause like, most of the time, the regular people don't like satisfy my
Boring.
No.
They're regular people.
Boring.
I'm crying.
The NARPs, it's like that.
The extras in the back.
They're not really like my type.
Do you mean like are you talking about like just like the black people here, or just like in general, like people like?
Oh no, like, just the black people here.
Oh no, I'm not gonna lie. Like I feel like when people like watch this and stuff, they're gonna be mad that like I say this, but whatever. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of the black people here, like obviously, like I said, there's not a lot of us here, but I feel like a lot of them, they're chopped, bro.
Oh.
Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I just feel like we don't have a lot of options here. Like it just feels like I feel like other campuses, even whenever I've been to like Duquesne events or something like that, I feel like they have a lot of options. Do you know what I mean?
No, because
like,
I went to
I'm not saying everyone. So just so people know, I'm not saying everyone on this campus. I'm not saying all that, because there are like a lot of good-looking people. But I'm just saying like you go to other campuses, you'd be like, what's going on?
Right.
What's in the water? Like, like, I don't know.
I went to CMU for like the first time for Pop the Balloon. I look around, I said, oh.
Right. It's white shit everywhere.
Right.
Like, I need to come here more often. I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree. What about you? Care to share?
I feel like I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like my type is like mainly like at Pitt. Like when I go to like RMU, like all the other campuses, kind of like, yeah.
I feel like RMU is tough because it's already like a small school and stuff. Because I think it's private and stuff, and I feel like other schools like Chatham and stuff. Like my brother went there, and he told me like already there was like not a lot of black people. I think their like population was like 2.5 or something crazy like that. So it was like, there was like not a lot of options. So he told me he would like, come over to Pitt or like other places to like talk to people, because he was like, there's nothing really going on there. And I think also just like being a sophomore and being here for a while, like I think for me, I actually really haven't dated a lot of people like from like Pitt and stuff, because I feel like it low-key, like I'm sure y'all know, like Black Pitt gets really messy.
Oh my God.
So like I feel like the second you start dating someone will be like, I talked to your man yesterday, and like this, that, and the third, like whatever. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't handle it anymore, because I feel like every single time I date someone that is in the black pig community, I get done dirty. Like, it's just, like, something bad happens. So I felt like I was just, like, I need to take a break from it. And I feel like I just started to, like, once I turned 21, I was able to, like, you know, go out to, like, bars, clubs, different environments where I can meet different people. And I think that really helped. And also just meeting people that were, like, older than me. And even for me, I feel like my type is definitely, like, older. Like, I just can't. Like, I'm sorry with the little boys. Like, I can't anymore. Like, they're just, like, very immature. The brain has not developed. Like, it's just, like, it needs a lot of work. So I think for me, it's, like, I'm really open to, like, anything, to be honest, but I think it's just, like, you know, obviously I have to be attracted to you and I have to have a connection. And like I had said before, I hadn't really had a lot of dating experiences with athletes and stuff, and the like few that I've come across, it just seemed like very kind of superficial, like they were only looking for something like physical instead of like, you know, something a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whenever it comes to just like representation, when it comes to just like what we see in the media and everything, do you think like people's like perception, and I'm sure you can speak a little bit to this, like of black athletes, do you think it's really affected just even by like what they see, like whether it's like, you know, the NBA and like, you know, professional athletes and stuff? Because even like I remember there was a big conversation, it was like last year whenever the draft was going on for the NBA, and I remember people were like, you know, talking about this all over Twitter, and there were pictures of like, you know, people bringing their girlfriends and stuff, and you know, a lot of them were white and stuff, and a lot of people had like a big like problem with that and stuff, because they were like, where are the black women at, like what's going on, like, you know, whatever. But do you think like, you know, just people's like even just like dating preferences or habits and stuff, do you think they're influenced at all by like, you know, just athletes in the industry?
Yeah, I feel like I want to get a little controversial, but
Okay.
there's like, what's that story that's going around with that football player? His like, he just divorced his like, wife.
Xavier Worthy.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
like so I feel like, and there's like a couple of those stories. So I feel like as a black athlete, sometimes you look at that and you can be like, oh God, like that's like, dang, that's what they doing. Like they crazy over there. So it's like sometimes like they'll just think that, oh, like if I like avoid that and get like a non-black wife, then she'll like, it'll just be easier. That's kind of the thought process. Like not saying I have that thought process, but like it makes sense like in my head when I think about it. So
I don't know. I mean, I know what you're talking about though, because like I saw that like last year, and even like I don't really like keep like outside of the NBA, like I don't keep up with NBA players' lives. So it's like, oh, I found out they got a like girlfriend or a wife, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know like they had like kids, and like most of the time they end up being like white or like Latino or whatever. So I was just like, I mean, I see that, so I don't really know if it like correlates to like what Devin said about that, but like, you know, sometimes black women can be crazy. But the question is, who makes them crazy?
I don't know.
Right,
Sometimes they just be crazy just to be crazy.
No, that comes
And then
from a lot of
if they
trauma.
if they crazy to crazy, then the black guys just gonna steer the other way and go like to
They cause the crazy.
They
not
cause
us.
the crazy.
It's their fault.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
accountability.
Oh my God, no, I agree with that. I do think like, you know, there is some influence. This is kind of like what you're exposed to is like what you see and everything. And I think like I agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of people have the mentality of like, oh, it's just easier to like whatever, like date someone that's like white and stuff. Because I remember I watched this TikTok, and this athlete, he was like, you want to know why I date white girls? He's like, because they're simple. He's like, I don't gotta like pay for their hair, their nails, all this stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry, but who is asking you to do that? Like, I've never once in my life asked a man to like pay for my hair, nails, lashes, any of that stuff. It's like, I have a job. I have all this stuff. Like, I'm not asking nobody to pay for anything. I'm not saying there aren't people that don't do that, but it's like, why are you stereotyping like your own women? Like, it's just like, that's always been like weird to me, because it's like, you know, I feel like at the end of the day, like as much as black women, you know, will try to like hold black men like accountable, I feel like they're still gonna like support them and like uplift them and stuff and like go back to them and stuff, not be like, oh, because I had one bad date experience with like a black man or a black athlete, you know, I've done a lot of times, so just be like, that was like that one person. But I feel like I notice this like generalization from a lot of black men that are like, you know, all black women are the same, or they all whatever, like are the same type of time and stuff. And I just don't really think it's like fair to say that, because it's like, you know, if we're not saying that about black men, why are we saying that about black women, if that makes sense. But
Well, I mean, I don't know, not to be the devil's advocate, but I do be like, oh, black men cheat.
Wait, yeah,
but
me
it's
too.
true, so you know,
It's different. Like,
Yeah, I feel like y'all kind of do like the same thing, like the whole black athlete thing. Like it's like, y'all hear black athlete, and y'all get scared. So it's like, I feel like we do it
wrong more. I think if that happened, it would be like, okay, I could be like, all right, like, you know, depending on the person. I think also for me, it's like depending on like the sport and stuff, where I'm like, all right, like if it's something like, I don't know, niche or whatever, like, oh my gosh, I play frisbee, I don't know, whatever. I'll be like, okay, like maybe I'll give you a chance or something. But it's like, but yeah, I think it's just harder when it's like so many people have been like done dirty, and you don't want to be the one that looks like dumb in the instance. Cause I feel like when you come to your friends, you're like, oh, talk to this athlete, like, you know, whatever. I feel like they're always like, girl, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, like, you're smarter than that, whatever. And like, you know, I feel like, at least for me, I get secondhand embarrassment when my friends like tell me, they're like, you know, don't do it. Because even right now, like, my boyfriend, he's Jamaican, and my friends are always like, girl, like, they're always just like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, guys, like, he's not like that. Like, he's not gonna cheat on me, like, you know, whatever. Like, loyal to the soil, like, please, like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's always like the worst feeling whenever you kind of like eat crow and like someone like they prove you wrong and stuff, and or prove you right in the case if you think they're gonna like cheat on you and stuff. But yeah, I think it's hard because it's like you want, at least for me, I want to have trust. I want to be like, okay, if I like meet an athlete that I really like, I want to be like, yeah, like I want to like try and like, you know, see where it goes. But it's like, I don't know, I just like hear too many like scary stories where sometimes I'm just like, you know, I don't want to look dumb, if that makes sense.
Dang. Jamaican athlete.
You know the Jamaicans be cheating.
Please,
no,
Leah,
don't.
don't say that to me.
No,
Please don't.
You're Jamaican?
You're
Jamaican?
That's some
I know.
Jamaican.
What? Oh,
yes, that's
I
why.
didn't know
It's just so
that.
much. It's just so much like so much slander coming right now.
Listen,
It's like,
my boyfriend is Jamaican, and like he's very, I feel like it's also, he told me, he was like, it's either there's a lot of Jamaican men that are like very loyal, or it's like, you know, they're going crazy stuff. He's like, there obviously there are people that are the in between, but like the stereotype is like that and everything. Because even like the first time that I met him and stuff, like he was like, you know, I don't do no like one night stands and stuff. That was the first time I ever heard like a guy like say that before and stuff. Like I just like had never experienced that before. But no, I agree. I think it like varies like per person and everything. I think it's just like,
he was born in Jamaica.
Yeah, he was born in
Where
Jamaica.
at?
I actually am not sure where, but like he moved here like a year ago. So like he hasn't been here for a while. But yeah. So yeah, would you guys say that like in the future and stuff, like whenever like after college and everything, like, you know, just like in future tense, like with like if you guys have kids and stuff, like if they were like, you know, whatever, brought home like an athlete and stuff, like how would y'all feel about that? Would you be like scared? Would you like feel like you need to warn them?
Yeah, I'm definitely warning my daughter. If she brings one home, like, I'm going to have a talk with her, because after the things I've seen, I don't want her to go through that, like.
That's real.
Yeah, my daughter not bringing home no damn athlete. I ain't gonna lie.
That is so
My daughter
funny
needs
to
like
me.
a nerd, like a super nerd
Yeah.
to bring home.
I think it's funny and ironic coming from an athlete, because
Right.
I feel like athletes always
Nah,
be
'cause-
saying stuff like that.
Nah, because it's like
no, my daughter like hell no, they're not bringing home no
like
athlete.
on the being on the inside, you really see how like some dudes be moving, and it's like you wouldn't even like you don't wish that on like anybody, especially like your daughter. Nah, absolutely not.
No, I understand. I think
Yeah.
it's just like, even I'm sure seeing from your lens, seeing like, you know, some of like, you know, whatever, it's like if it's a teammate or just other athletes and how they act and stuff, and not really wanting that for your own child, or even like the
Yeah.
possibility of like, you know, what could happen and everything. But I totally agree with that.
Yeah, you just like you see it happen. It's like damn, that's someone's like daughter. That's someone's like little girl.
Yeah.
Like,
I think about that sometimes too. Like whenever some of these athletes like do these girls wrong, I'm like, oh my god, that's someone's daughter.
No,
Like
don't
that's
Don't they have
act-
sisters or something?
Yeah, I'm like,
Do
do
they
you
feel
want your
bad?
sister to be treated like that? Like, I'm just like, because even like my brother will tell me, because he was an athlete in college and stuff, and like he would tell me stories sometimes, and like some of the things like he would say, the way he was treating people, I was like, would you want someone to treat me like that? And he'd be like, oh hell no, like I would never go for that. It's like, then why are you treating someone like that? You got to like reverse it and stuff sometimes, so you're just like, you know, aware and everything. And I think a lot of it, like I talked about on my previous podcast, is just like lack of communication. Like I feel like, you know, as our like own community, I feel like we really struggle with that sometimes. It's just like communicating with our partners, like, you know, what we're looking for, whether it's just like, you know, if you're just looking to hook up with someone, which is fine, but it's like you got to be honest about that. Or if like, you know, you're looking for a relationship, like don't like, you know, as Matt said on my podcast last time, he was like, you know, don't sell a dream. Don't be like, you know, I'm gonna like buy you flowers, take you on a date, do all this stuff, and then like, you know, 2 days later you don't hear from them again, you're blocked, you're done, kind of thing. So I think it's just like repeated patterns that we see over and over again. But which is like I also want to hear like your perspective about that and stuff. Like, why do a lot of athletes like use the same tactics, especially if they're not really getting like, you know, like I feel like the beneficial like result and stuff, like because I feel like, you know, they're dealing with like people getting like mad at them or like backlash and stuff. Like what is up with that?
I mean, if a system works, then you don't gotta fix it. Like some girls really just won't go for it, and others like will like pretty easily. And like
That's so sad
you can
to
like
me.
you can like you can like reuse like game. It's corny, but you can like reuse game like if you really want to. Like
Oh.
you can like I've seen people like send like the same DM to like 5 different girls and get like 5 different responses, and two out of
That
those
makes
5
you so
like
sick.
2 out of those 5 like hit. Not like hit, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it'll like you know what I mean. Like it'll like they'll go for it.
Yeah.
So system works. No need to change it.
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
think it's broken.
I feel like athletes are pretty easy. Not gonna lie, they be going for
Yeah.
anything.
Yes, they say like what's that saying? They be like put a bag over the head or something like that. Like they like they say crazy
Yeah.
insane statements like that. Like they do not care sometimes what the
They be
person
like,
looks
paper
like.
Shots
bag.
only.
Like,
Paper
like,
bag
just-
method.
Yeah, like they
Paper
just say
bag
stuff like that. I'm
method.
like that's so sick to me because I'm just like, how can you like do something with someone and then not be attracted to them? Like to me, like if you're looking a little crazy, like get away from me. Like no, like I feel like you got to be the whole package. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like that's another thing. I just don't understand why the standard is low. I feel like for athletes where it's like, you know, why do they not care? Like, you know, I think that's so
Yeah,
problematic.
I think that's weird too. I've always thought of it as like a lack of like self-respect. I feel like that's kind of like I never understood that. Like how like people or like some athletes could just like do so much with like so many different people. It's like damn, bro, like you gotta like have some value to yourself. It's like damn,
Right.
you gotta be like untouchable. I feel like
Yeah.
that's like more
They
of a
gotta be more picky.
yeah, it's like more of I feel
Yeah.
like being like untouchable, unlinkable, all that stuff is like more of a flex than like being like, oh yeah, like I just hit this whole friend group. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's another thing I hear about. I don't know if you guys like have any like, you know, experience or want to talk about that, but I feel like I always hear about the friend groups. What's up with the athletes? Like, you know, they'll move on to one friend and then move on to the next and act like, you know, they're not going to find out. Y'all are in the
It's-
same
Yeah.
friend group.
But
They're going to
the
find
thing,
out it's messy.
it's always the same conclusion. They
They
go
always
for it.
go
They
for it,
go
though.
for
Okay,
it.
but, like,
and
why
then
are we
the
not
crazy
blaming the man?
the crazy
Why
part
is
is
the
the
man
crazy
not
part is
held
then the friends
accountable?
get into an argument about it, and then the friends like split up, and the
Right,
whole
yeah,
time
that's the
like
wrong
the dude
person.
always like gets off scot-free. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, that's the one thing I feel like that like we as women need to start doing, especially as black women. We need to start like holding the man accountable. I'm not saying you can't be mad at the friend, like if the friend's doing you dirty. I think you could still call them out, but I do think it's really important for you to like, you know, say something to the guy, even if he doesn't change. Like at least like, you know, he knows that you're not going for that, your friends are going for that, whatever. Like I just think like, you know, acting like, oh, it's fine, or oh, they're just an athlete, or that's just how they are. Like I think that's just like stupid.
No,
like
y'all
you know,
gotta-
it's not okay.
Y'all gotta
Like,
lock in. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Like
Lock in.
yeah, I just think there needs to be a lot done. I just think there's a lot that needs to be talked about, and just like I feel like, you know, no one wants to like say it, or I feel like people are just like afraid to just be like, hey, that's like not okay, or even just like I think even like I heard from a lot of people just in general on campus that are like they feel even a sense of like pressure sometimes, or they're like, oh, this athlete, like, you know, he wants to talk to me or whatever, and sometimes maybe they want that experience more than thinking about like their own like self-worth and their own value and stuff, being like, you know, maybe I should actually think about it, because at the end of the day they're still a person and stuff.
Right.
And most of the time, half the time, like, you know, not to be rude, but some of these athletes, especially like the football players and stuff, because like, you know, our team has not been doing one for a long time, like, you know, it's not like they're going to like the NFL or like the NBA or something where it's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you're going to be with them for life and, you know, have millions of dollars. Like, it's like, you're going to have that one experience, and it's like half the time it's probably not going to be a good experience anyway. So it's like, you know, what are we doing? Like, why are we throwing it away? Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like something we need to like, you know, think more about and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is there anything that like you guys would like, you know, say like for like incoming freshmen and stuff that, you know, maybe like maybe I want to like, you know, experiment, or maybe I want to see what it's like talking to an athlete and stuff, like what advice would you guys give?
Yo ho is going.
I would just say I don't think you should date your freshman year. I feel like you should save dating for like your sophomore year at least. I feel like you got to get like a tone
Yeah.
and see how everything like really works in college, because it's definitely different than high school. That'd really
I
be my only
agree.
advice. Just save it. but some people do. And that's a canon event everybody got to experience. Well, not everyone. Some people
A lot of
experience.
Right.
A lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, I would just say be wary of who you pick.
Yep.
Like if you see little signs, you know.
Your intuition's always right. That's one thing
Yeah.
I've learned. Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people have to like learn how to follow, because I think a lot of people, they don't want it to be true so bad, where they're like, I'm not gonna believe it. But I think sometimes you just gotta like put the pieces together and stuff. Like, you know, I'm not saying assume, like you can ask questions, but especially when you're getting towards the realm of like, you know, why am I becoming an investigative reporter? Like that's kind of insane. I feel like I've learned that in my life in dating. I'm not turning into an investigative reporter. Like, you know, if you can't tell me all the details, time to wrap it up, time to go. Like, so I think that's like one thing, even at least I would say, is like, you know, if it starts to like feel like it's more of a headache than it needs to be, it's rather you go than like, you know, get more hurt and everything. But
Yeah, definitely.
Women's intuition is real. I give that to y'all. It's freaky, but it's real.
it's so weird. Even if like I feel like nothing's going on and like it'll just be like, you know, a regular day and stuff, sometimes I'll just get this feeling like something's happening, and then I'll always be right, and it makes me sad sometimes, because it's like, you know, I want to have trust, I want to be able to believe people, but sometimes you just, like you said, you just gotta trust it and everything. But yeah, is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about or like say on this topic in general?
I don't know. Well, I feel like I agree with you about not dating your freshman year, but like, I don't know, like I feel like I went through that and it has made me a better person.
Oh, okay.
Like I know the signs now. Like I'm strict. It's strict over here. So like I feel like
okay. Sometimes you gotta learn from like
Yeah.
you know, your own, like kind of what you're saying, like everyone has like canon event where like you know, they date the wrong person, they make the wrong choice.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate. I'm not saying I picked the wrong person or I dated the wrong person freshman year. I want to make that clear. But I'm just saying that just so, you know. No, I agree with what you were saying, though. Like, if you do, like, it could definitely, like, shape you in the future. So I like both. Like, dating and not dating. It could be beneficial or not.
Any last words, Leia?
Well, I think going through these things now is better than, like, when you're, like, 35. So, like...
Right.
I'm kind of glad sometimes that I have these experiences, because it's like, at least I'm 19. Like, I'm not getting married anytime soon, I don't think. So I have time. Like,
you don't think?
Claire?
No, yeah, I agree. I think it's all just about like taking your experiences in, and also just not being hard on yourself. Like, even if you do get done dirty by an athlete, or maybe, you know, you meet an athlete and they're the love of your life and you get married, you know, like I think everything happens for a reason sometimes. And I think even when I'm like, you know, upset about like a disappointing dating experience, I just try to keep that in the back of my mind. Like, you know, it's all leading to something greater and everything. So I think that's just something for people to keep in mind, you know, especially with like, you know, dating athletes. And of course, you know, not all athletes are bad. So, but yeah.
Make that clear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you
yes,
for the
not,
reiteration.
Yes, not all athletes are bad, and some, you know, you can date and see what happens. You just gotta follow your intuition and follow your gut.
Amen.
Yes.
And check that phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't check that.
Check the iPad.
Don't check that phone.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode. This is the 7th episode of Navigating the Ivory Tower. Once again, I'm your host, Jade Davis, and I have guests Leia, and I have Claire and Devin here with me. And this episode was produced by WPTS Radio. Tune in next time to hear what it's like to be at a PWI.